Siki Daha. It's my full name, which is Sikandar. My background's Pakistani. That's where I was born. I've spent a long time in Australia, but within my time of being an Australian citizen, I've also been very fortunate to live in Europe. I've lived in Asia, and I've been very lucky to travel throughout and tour throughout with music and have multiple experiences and opportunities there. But my background is 100% Pakistani, but I also identify as Australian. The whole album was pretty much a collaboration with my producer Keys, who's a brilliant Brisbane-based up-and-coming producer. And we wrote the songs together, we produced the stuff together, he co-executive produced pretty much everything. And the whole direction that I wanted to do was to create a South Asian R&B genre of its own, right? So I wanted to put my inspiration of black music, particularly black women, from Diana Ross to Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, like all the greats, to my culture, to what I've grown up with, from Bollywood to French music to French rap music to Arabic music, all of it put into my style, because I've never really felt up until now that I've particularly had a solid and unique sound. My voice somewhat is a little bit unique, I guess, but when it comes to the sound, it's probably been very much the same to what's already out there. So this is the first time after 3 albums and multiple singles and collaborations that I feel I've actually found a solid sound. And the reason is because it's really a very organic and true to the core of my heart of where I'm from, and also my inspiration and influence. So it took about a year for it to make, and I went back and forth, and I was like, I'm not ready yet. I need to put in the sounds that we want to make it unique, and then we finally got it. Every scenario, every heartbreak, every love, every conversation has a potential to end up being a song, because you're inspired by life. So a lot of the songs on this particular album are all from the last 2-3 years, from when Black Lives Matter came through, when COVID hit. The song Government is about how the government was treating us, and particularly musicians, and how musicians were not being able to get the same rights as normal businesses were getting, or get the same help or assistance that the businesses were getting. So I got my friend Rudy in Sydney on board, and I got my friend Crystal on board as well to be on the song, to give it that little bit more impact from 3 musicians telling a story. You know, and then Anger Management was about a lot of the anti-vaxxers and people that I was seeing posting really crazy, you know, conspiracy theory kind of posts and stories, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm 100% pro-choice, but at the same time, I think, you know, you need to do your research and need to be really aligned with education and understanding before you're making comments or posting things. And so my anger management was more towards that, and calming down and not commenting on things or people's views and stuff, and just kind of keeping it to yourself. So everything aligned to something. You know, the song Sikandar was about me as a kid and dealing with underlying racism in Perth, growing up there and being the only brown kid in our neighborhood, you know, and dealing with going for musical auditions and being told that you're obviously not white, so you can't audition for Sound of Music, which as a 12, 13-year-old kid, you just grow up thinking that that's normal. Every song in there has some sort of story that relates back to childhood, current situation, the last 2-3 years, but everything, every scenario, every situation has a way to become a song, I think, personally. To be really honest with you, I don't think I sit anywhere just yet. I still feel like there's a lot of changes that need to occur. I think, you know, Black Lives Matter, which I mentioned before, was such a pivotal and turning point for a lot of people like us, you know, because it gave us a chance to step forward and to speak up, knowing that we would be safe, knowing that finally we had support behind us, knowing that there was allyship and allies all around. And I think in the last 2.5 years, that's projected even more, and it's starting to get even bigger and better, and people like us are getting opportunities in the commercial market. No, it's still not enough, but it's a step up from what it was before. So I don't think I really have had a chance to, up until now, be able to really ground myself. It's always been on the edge, trying to like get opportunities. Am I good enough? Is it going to be okay? Will they be willing to listen to me? It's always been a hurdle of some sort. So that particular song was about my childhood. It was inspired by me sitting in a boardroom in, you know, and I can't mention record labels' names obviously, but sitting in two record labels particularly throughout my 20s, and them picking me apart and telling me my name is not good enough, telling me my color is not good enough, telling me that you sound black but you're brown, but you look I'm African American, but from a Muslim background, and it was just like being picked apart. And I think as I talk about this more with you and we're having these conversations, I'm realizing it happened from 13 up until, you know, recently. So it's always been a thing, and it's always been normal. And it shouldn't be normal for anybody. Anybody should, our color and our culture should be embraced always. It should never be a question or a question mark.
But you should never judge a book by its cover.
Good morning. How are we?
Hello.
You are
Siki.
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 Like
Siki.
Chaka Siki, as you like to
Like
say.
Chaka Siki.
Yes. That's like
Siki
Daha. D-A-H.
Siki Daha.
Yes.
Aha. Daha.
Daha.
Aha.
Yeah.
Maha.
No, just Daha.
Aha. Give a woochie.
Okay.
Having that experience for so long, I've just never thought of it being anything incorrect. It was what it was, or it is what it is, you know what I mean? So seeing the response and seeing the conversations that were happening on DMs and on comments and stuff, it was quite liberating to be heard, you know, because I spoke about a few other things in that post, but in that particular video, to have people ridicule you on a national and potentially international TV because of your name or because what you look like or where you're from, it's such a strange thing to think about now. But back then it was normal, and no one reprimanded any of them for it, you know? I'm very grateful for Marsha Hines and, you know, for her saying the things that she did in the audition and stuff, and she's always gonna be an icon to me. But the rest of it, having 3 other white men tell you that you're not the shit or that you can't be the shit is very like, can I say shit? I can't. I don't think that would play down very well today. I think people, because we live in a social media world, we live in a very different space now, so I think the world, if it was to go viral, if there was something like that, would just shut it down very, very quick. Well, the performance side of things are a little bit on hold because I've wanted to wait till all the COVID stuff was completely gone. There's a couple other performances as well coming up this year, just a few one-offs which will be exciting for promo, but mainly doing the main ones at the end of the year, just to kind of got a couple other things up my sleeve. I would say Sikandar because it is a pivotal song and is the start of what created the whole movement with the album, and it's one of my favorite tracks. So I would say definitely Sikandar. It tells a really strong story of strength.